Yo, and welcome to the Ambition Hour podcast. It's your girl, Audi 3000, and this is episode 73. Yo. Yay, thank you guys so much. And welcome yet again to another episode of the Ambition Hour podcast. This is the second episode that we're doing in New York. I'm so excited. And I have my co-host here, Have 600.
Dubs up.
And I am going to introduce this beautiful queen that I have because I cannot wait because I've been waiting forever to have her on the show. So without further ado, the CEO of the Bonita Project,
hey.
Danielle Alvarez in the building. Give it up to this queen, everybody. I am beyond excited to have you here.
I am beyond excited as well.
Me and Danielle went to high school together.
Coral Reef.
And yeah, she went to Coral Reef, class of 07. It's been 12 years, but we don't look like that.
We don't look like that. I still get complimented. I'm like, oh my God, I'm 30. Shit. Like,
yeah, I'm turning 30 on Sunday. It's all good. I feel fine.
We're fabulous.
I am very excited to have you here. You have your, I'm ready. Okay. So first of all, before we get into Danielle, if you are listening to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in this week. I appreciate that. If you are watching us on YouTube, shout out to you. How y'all doing? Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you are watching us on IGTV, you're only catching the first 10 minutes. So make sure that you go ahead and check the rest of the episode out on YouTube or on SoundCloud or anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. And for all things WTW, you can go to WTWrecords.com. You can get our merchandise. You can get everything that we have that is WTW. This is WTW Saturdays. We drop a new song, a new podcast, and a new video each and every single Saturday.
That's right.
So you know how we do. Make sure that you guys check out La Vita e Bella by Spitz, House of Jones by Laid Back Have and Spitz. We just came out a lot of projects this year. And then the last one, which is Purple Label.
Purple Label, yeah.
And the boys are recording in New York.
A whole new project.
Weekend in NY.
A Weekend in NY. Another classic.
I'm excited.
Thank you. Yeah,
we got Danielle here.
Danielle
so you're the
here.
CEO of the Bonita I keep saying the Bonita gang,
Bonita.
but that's because gang.
It's the gang. Bonita. It's the Bonita Project.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know you went to UF.
Yes.
And you graduated from UF. And I just, from an outsider looking in, like just seeing your growth from high school and then seeing what you did in like university and then moving to being in New York and just pursuing your it's public relations, right? Like your career. And now you have your own thing. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, Claudia, don't make me cry. It's insane. Like I look back and I'm like, wow, like I did it. Like I'm just starting to begin living my life like the way that I wanted to do it.
And it shows, Danny.
Yeah, I'm very happy. It hasn't been easy. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was never a book nerd. So for those listening, and you mentioned UF, and then so you think UF, you're like, oh wow, that's like a prestigious school. You must have been like a mega super nerd. I was like, no, I was not. I barely passed my SATs in Miami. Barely. Like I think my math score was ridiculous, and I actually went to Miami-Dade County. So MDCC, represent. I did go to Miami-Dade for 2 years.
They got a couple from me too.
And, worked my way up. Like, I was like, I just knew I wanted to get out of Miami. I don't know why. I just knew I wanted to get out of Miami. UF was the first step. And then New York was always a big.
Yeah, was it always appealing to you?
Oh, my God. So I was born in New Jersey. I'm a Jersey girl. I mean, I don't like to say I'm a Jersey girl because I did move when I was like 7 years old to South Florida.
I feel like still,
you still carry that.
I was born there. And ever since I left, my mom, like, it was just stuck in me. I used to tell my mom when I was a kid, I was like, I'm going to move back up north. And my mom's like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, no, seriously. Like, I used to give her so much shit like I was living in Miami. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Miami played a very big role in my upbringing, and like I don't regret anything. Like Miami was amazing to me. But I just knew I wanted to come back. And once I knew that I wanted to pursue PR, which was at a very early age, actually I was 15 when I wanted to.
Wow.
Like I realized that was my career choice. I just knew that the city for my career was New York City. And I've been very blessed to have a support system since I moved. Like my mom was just like, all right, at the very beginning when I graduated, I was like, Mom, I'm moving to New York in 2 weeks. And she was just like, maybe why don't you wait like 6 months? Give it 6 months. She's like, do it in December, because I did a summer graduation. She was like, move in December once you find a job and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, because if I stay, that's it. I'm going to get comfortable. I'm going to find something in Miami, and then I'm not going to go. You know, like I don't want to do that. Like I want to definitely, you know,
how many
just
people do
now.
that? Do that? They just stay and then become complacent.
And then exactly. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, no, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to do it again. Or I'm not going to have the chance to do it.
What called you towards PR? What was it when you were 15 years old that it was just like that right there?
Okay, so this is a funny story and maybe something you guys can totally relate to. So it was the year 2005. And
that was a really good year in Coral Reef. I might add.
Right.
What was attitude 2005?
Wait, was it 2005? Or I think it was 2004 actually, because it was my freshman. We were freshmen.
Okay, yeah.
Or no, sorry, we were. It was was it? No, it was 2004 because it was the fall of us becoming of being sophomores. So it was 2004.
Yeah.
And the MTV VMAs came to Miami. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so the MTV VMAs came to Miami, and I used to be like a wannabe. Like I just wanted to be where all the stars were. And I dragged my mom, I kid you not, on that Sunday. I'm like, Mom, can we go to American Airlines Arena? I just want to see if I see any celebrities. And I kid you not, me and my mom were camping out with all the freaking crowds of people outside of American Airlines Arena. Like, mind you, the roads were blocked off, like cars were coming in, and we did not see anybody. I think the only person that I saw that rolled down their window was CeeLo the entire time.
Oh, CeeLo's a legend.
And I was like, who else? I think it was, I don't even remember, but I was just like, man, I wanted to be amongst all that crowd. I always was very drawn to anything that had to do with entertainment, music. You know, true story. I actually did want to work in music and I actually did want to work in radio, but not as a personality. I actually wanted to do radio PR, but we can get into that later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was always drawn to anything that had to do with entertainment and music.
Yeah.
And then my mom was just like, you know, I had her camping out like for hours, and then whatever, we went back home. My mom was like, this was ridiculous, but okay. Like I was happy with just spending the afternoon there. And then the following day, my mom came back from work and she brought back a gift bag from an after party that Diddy threw. It was an all white Diddy party. It was an after bag.
Oh shit.
Gift bag. And I'm like, Ma, how did you even get this gift bag? And she was like, oh, so my coworker, her daughter works in PR and she produced this event, and she heard about my story and that we were camping out the day before, like yesterday or whatever, and she thought you would enjoy this. And then I was like, wait, what? Like, what job does her daughter do? And she was like, oh, I'll ask her. I was like, okay, yeah, because that sounds really cool. Like, you're producing events with Diddy. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I actually still have the CD that was in that gift bag, which was completely scratched up. It was a mixtape with the Bad Boy Family. You had Shake Your Tail. It was like when... Shake Your Tailfeather, remember?
Yeah.
Yes!
Okay, so it had that mix, and I was just like, oh man, this was so dope. So like, yeah, then my mom found out. She asked her friend, and her friend ended up telling her, oh, my daughter went to UF, and she studied PR.
Wow.
So after that, I was like, all right, I'm working in PR. Like, I'm doing PR.
I'm going to UF, and I'm
Not even knowing what PR was. In my head, at the time, at 15 years old, I'm thinking, okay, it's cool events and blah, 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 right?
Yeah, host events, so fun.
Then I went to UF, and then, I got to, I learned what it was. But PR is not rocket science. Anybody can really do PR, honestly. It's not something that it's like, and I later learned that in the industry. I also realized, like, whatever, I mean, yes, you need to go to school, whatever. I'm not saying you don't have to, but I mean, you shouldn't. But all the experience that I learned and I got was while I was already out in the workspace and in the field. Mm-hmm.
And you were working for another company. I don't want to get it was how many years?
I was with them for 7.5 years.
Okay, I was gonna say 9. I was close. But you were working there, and then you decided to start the Bonita Project, which number one I love. Every time that you guys post something like on the Bonita Project like main page, like I just feel so inspired. The stories that you guys do of like each woman, like it's literally like every day you're like a nonstop machine.
I'm a nonstop machine.
You don't understand how much I admire you and everything that you do. I recently saw that you got to meet somebody that it's Yalitza.
Yes.
Aparicio, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
How was that experience? Because you mentioned in your post that you like felt like starstruck.
Oh my God, I was so starstruck. So Yalitza, for those that don't know, listen to the podcast. Yalitza was the first ever indigenous woman that made headlines because she was on the cover of Vogue Mexico. I think it was the December issue or January issue.
It was recent,
I'm not
yeah.
sure. I remember when I saw that like blowing up on my Instagram feed, I was like, what? Like it really struck me to see that because I am, like I mentioned, well, I was mentioning to you guys, I'm Peruvian American.
Yes.
You know, there's in Peru and Mexico, Central America and South America, you have a very big community of indigenous people. And people always frown, like they look down upon them. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, it is. It's true.
And even going to high school, like even in Miami, I always remember like when I would hang out with the Colombian crowd, or even like, you know, those that they would always say like, oh, you know, we have pretty women, but Peruvian women are actually kind of ugly. And I used to hear comments like that because why? Because cholas?
Or they'll be like, oh, you're pretty, you're pretty for a Nicaragüense.
Right. Or you'll hear things like that. And like, I grew up with hearing those things. Or they will tell me too, like, oh, you're pretty to be Peruvian, yada, yada, yada. But those things, like hearing that at a young age, you start thinking like, oh, I guess I should feel good about myself because I'm prettier than, you know, this Indian woman, right?
Yeah.
And that's not right. So anyways, I'm not going to get into that because it's a very emotional, like, piece of what, you know, of me and it affected me in some way. So when I saw Yalitza on the cover, I was like, holy shit, like, wow, finally. And she was on this movie. Not sure if you've seen it, Roma, which is a Mexican movie that won an Oscar, like multiple Oscars. And
I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was this. I mean, it was a black and white movie that was like based in I think it was definitely based in Mexico, like in the 70s, I think it was, or the 80s. And it's all in black and white. But Yalitza plays a maid, you know, because mostly, let's be real, all the indigenous women that you see, even in Peru, she's the maid.
She's the maid. She's the one who takes care of the kids.
She's the one that takes care of the kids. And like you see her go through a lot of things in the movie. Sorry, I keep moving the table.
It's okay.
You're good.
And
you shaking the table, girl. No,
and yeah, so she spoke at a conference that I attended last weekend, which was actually something that
I lived through you that weekend.
that conference is definitely something that I recommend any of the ladies that listen here. It's called We All Grow Latina. And it's an annual conference that takes place in Long Beach, California. And it's basically a big event that takes place where they get together first it started with like a lot of Latina bloggers, then the influencers. And now this year that I went, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, like women like us that are doing our own thing. Like I'm not an influencer or a blogger, but I have the Bonita Project. So I attended on behalf of the Bonita Project. And it's a very empowering weekend filled with lots of different panels, workshops, and I actually got to host a workshop, which is why I went. And Yalitza was there last Saturday to speak about, you know, just her role and how she's redefining what pretty is, right? Because there was a moment when during her presentation, or when she was on stage, when they allowed like 5 different women to come up on stage and say something to her in person, like, Yalitza, thank you, like saying thank yous to her. And oh my God, everybody started crying because there was one girl, she was like, thank you for making me feel pretty and like giving me the opportunity that I can maybe, you know, do things again, or like, because
be an actress, be nominated for, you know, for sure.
And, you know, not even be specifically that, but just not be looked down like La Chola Fea.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And she said that, and I was like, oh my God. And, you know, it was just a very emotional but beautiful weekend. So I'm glad you brought that up. So anybody that doesn't know her story, please look her up, because Yalitza did come from a very small town in Oaxaca, Mexico.
Yeah.
And look at her now. She's like
banging,
living in Hollywood.
I got to see you at a workshop once too. That was super dope. She posted it one day, and then I was just like, I'm gonna go. I was like, I don't care. Like, she's here, she's in town, she's doing an event, and I want to go and support her because, like I said, I've been seeing her. And then you also, being real, you supported me during the time that I was doing Herbalife.
Yes.
You got products from me, and I was your coach at some point.
God bless your heart.
Yeah. So you're like, just even that, like, to me, like, it just warms my heart when people that pretty much like saw me doing Herbalife and they still continue to support me in this transition that I've gone through in my life. Like, I just appreciate that. And then to see you go through a transition from working for somebody to now having your own thing, it's just like, yes, girl.
Yeah.
You were just in Morocco. First of all.
Yes, thank you guys for mentioning that, because that's like one question I really wanted to ask, and I wanted to talk about this Morocco trip. So please, yes.
Morocco. Okay, so so let me backtrack. But Morocco was actually, it was a trip that was put together by a beautiful friend of mine that I think you guys should meet eventually. She's based out of New York. She's a makeup artist. As she says, a celebrity makeup artist, but okay. She's a makeup artist. The one that you were
saying that she doesn't look as old as she, right? Maybe? Was that her? I don't know. I know I saw your story and I saw the makeup artist and she looks really good and she was awesome. So yeah, continue.
Okay. So Stephanie, her name is Stephanie Floor, and she now owns her own company that's called Around the World Beauty. And the way she started off with this company was that she had a blog where she was unveiling, she started traveling because she loves to travel, and she started unveiling beauty rituals from around the world. Like that was her concept around the world beauty. And then a few years later, she started Around the World beauty journeys. So what she does is she curates trips throughout the world where she invites like 10 to 15 women, and they go on this trip. And not only is it an experience where they are learning about the country and yada, 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 but there's always a plug-in around beauty. And you're meeting with women that work in different types of beauty industries and within that country. So last year they went to India. This year was all about Morocco. And Morocco for me has always been on my bucket list because that's another story, a background story of me. Like I used to belly dance. I belly danced for 10 years.
Wow. I remember that in high school though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like when I saw it, I was just like, this is nothing new. Like she was doing this in high school. Like I love this.
Yes.
Little Princess Jasmine here.
So I used to belly dance, loved it. And when Stephanie announced Morocco, I was like, dude, sign me up. I'm gonna go. I need to go and support my girl. You know, she's also a startup entrepreneur like us. So she was able to get together like 15 girls or 13 girls on my trip. It was 13 girls. We went for 10 days and every day was a new experience. Very unique, very different. I will say for those that want to travel to Morocco, you have to be very open-minded. It's a very religious, obviously heavy country.
Mm-hmm.
And I went specifically during Ramadan. So for those that don't know what Ramadan is a time where for I think it's 60 days or even 60 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
you had somebody who was doing who
a takeover.
Yeah, I saw a takeover.
Yeah.
Because she does this thing that's it's called takeover, and it's pretty much like she had what is this girl? Laura Stiles. Yeah, she had her take over
on 97.
Yeah,
Yes.
she had her take over the Bonita Project Instagram. So she pretty much like they just follow her. Like she's just recording herself on the stories. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought of you when I announced. I'm like, I know for a fact Claudia's going to be tuning into this one. And I have to you have to do a takeover too one day. We have to organize that.
Whatever you need.
Yes.
Whatever you need.
But yeah, long story short, Morocco, if you guys need any tips, hit up my girl at Stephanie Floor. Stephanie, as you would spell Stephanie, FLOR. Or you can also check out her page, ATW Beauty, around abbreviated, for around
What's
the
one of the
beauty.
beauty things of Morocco that's probably like what special, unique to them? Like what type of makeup do they use? Or
I'm glad you asked that question. So something that really stood out to me, you guys, which was very interesting to see. I think it was like my second to last day there, or third. Yeah, right before I
the days get blurry.
Yeah. Right before I left, we went. We took a trip to this. It was like it was a family-owned business where they sell beauty products, all obviously organic, made in that home that I went to, and they I forget what the name of the business is, but they're starting to actually bring tour groups there so they can learn to see how they create the beauty products, everything from a shampoo to a body lotion to even eyeliner. So the kohl liner that these women use when they do their upper eye. The kohl is actually made with the kohl. I think it's a kohl rock. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, it's the kohl, which is it's like carbon, and then and they use rose petals, and then they have to crush it, right, to make the powder. However, the person that needs to crush it has to be an old widow, because she needs to be the one that has to transfer all that energy. Like it needs like the right way to make kohl eyeliner needs to be done by a Moroccan, or not a Moroccan, a Muslim widow. I think I'm saying that correct. I mean, that's what I took away. And she was there. There was this old woman there. Obviously, she can speak any English. And that's what they were telling us. They were like, she's about to crush the kohl. And that's how you make it. And then they bottle it up. And then when the women do it, when the women apply the liner, they use like a little, like, I would say a wood, like tiny wooden stick to like apply the eyeliner, and that was it. And I think that was like the most, like, I guess, striking thing for me, because I was like, wow, like this is, I mean, they're obviously very big on tradition, and, you know, they're very big on their God. You know, just with Ramadan, it proved it.
They fast.
The commitment
They
of that
fast.
is
Eat
just
until nighttime.
And they can't even drink water, and it was 110 degrees one day, and I was like, are you serious?
When she said that, I got thirsty for her.
Yeah.
Because I love water. That's like one of my favorite things to drink. So the fact that they can't drink water, that's one of the things that I really loved was that she actually posted like when she went to, I guess, like her temple, or like when she went to go do her prayer. I loved. I'm telling you that whoever gave you the idea, if you came up with it by yourself, like you came up with it by yourself.
Yes.
Girl,
you mean to do the
takeover things?
So. And I wanted to explain a little bit more about why I'm doing these takeovers. And for those that don't know, maybe I should share just some background on what the Bonita Project.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I'm like a fan.
Yeah. We know. So yeah, please inform the audience.
Okay, so the Bonita Project, because people are probably like, what are they talking about? So the Bonita Project, it's just as it sounds. It's spelled just the way it sounds. So I work in PR, as I mentioned, and it's a PR agency. I function very different than what your typical PR agency would function as. I come from a bigger agency, obviously, with like 50 women working there, where I worked on just beauty brands. And my background and I guess I should talk about a little bit my background.
Please. So
in my old age, where I used to work, I actually helped establish their multicultural team, right? I worked at your very stereotypical PR girl agency, which was all white girls. And I was the token Latina for forever. Okay. Yeah. I think I had one assistant at one point. I know I did have an assistant at some point, and then she became like my right hand. And then we eventually had a team of 3, but then it always scaled down to 2 girls. And to pitch our ideas, to do anything, it was like pulling teeth. And listen, this is no disrespect to where I used to work at. I learned a lot from these girls. There was times that I wanted to quit my job, and like I was just like, I'm miserable. Not only was I working crazy hours, but it was just a very big culture shock for me. Imagine coming from Miami and, you know, being me and being like
mixed in with the rest of the Latinas.
Right. And then coming to this agency where it was my dream job. Don't get me wrong. Like I landed at a place where at a time she was like already getting very popular. She had just been on an episode of this reality show that aired on MTV. And she was like a thing to work for. Like this woman is very well known in the PR industry. So for me to even get a job there, I felt like I was bendecida, like I was blessed. So yeah, I mean, I every year I was like, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna quit. And then for some reason, God kept me there that very long, and there was a purpose, because the experience that I got to work on their quote unquote multicultural team. So what that means was, in the world of PR and marketing, you know, and you see nowadays a lot of brands are getting a ton of backlash, like, oh, they're not being inclusive, they're not doing this, they're not catering to the, you know, the women of color, or the African American community, or the Hispanic community. It's always a thing, right? Because most of the times in the industry, you have a lot of white folks doing these.
You don't feel like you're being represented.
Correct. So I'm there, you know. And don't get me wrong, I did a lot of cool stuff, because we had, you know, we were working with cool brands like L'Oreal, Urban Decay, Garnier. You know, these are big, giant brands with big budgets to do cool things. But then at the end of the day, I mean, I guess at some point I was just not fulfilled anymore. I was like, you know what? And I have so many more ideas to do. And I just know that these ideas are not going to be taken seriously, or just, I don't know. I want to do it on my own. So when I decided to quit, it was a very ballsy move for me, because everybody's like, all right, so where are you leaving? And where are you going next? I'm like, no, I'm going to freelance. And they're like, you're going to freelance? And I'm like,
boy, did you freelance.
And I was like, yeah, I'm going to figure it out. You know, like I already had, so I filed my LLC for the Bonita Project in January of last year. I put in my,
we have an LLC, so we know how that feels.
Same for us for the Worth the Wait records, by the way. LLCs last year.
So when I got that letter and it's like, your name has been approved, you are officially filed under the state of New York. I was like, oh my God, I have a business name in the state of New York. And I quit. So then no one knew this. Like, no one at my old job knew this. I was like, I can't just be like, peace, and then the next would be like, the Bonita Project.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's kind of like, you know, not okay. So I didn't say anything. I kept it very hush-hush. I quit. Literally, my last day was on International Women's Day last year. But I left very empowered. I was like, I'm going to conquer the world. And like, so I quit. In that first week of March was my last week there. You know, my old boss, the owner of this old agency, she actually was very nice to me and like, you know, patted me on the back basically and was like, you're going to do great. Like, good luck to you. That's it. And I never heard from them again. That's it. Like, I left. I opened this new book, this new chapter in my life, and the Bonita Project was founded. So the Bonita Project was founded with the same, basically I'm doing the same thing that I was doing at my old job, but very, very differently. You know, if I'm going to establish myself as a multicultural PR agency, I'm going to do it right. Because what happens is when you look at all these agencies that, you know, say they have a team dedicated to doing these things.
Inclusive.
And they run things very corporate. At the end of the day, a lot of things just get missed, or they just overthink things, or people are just not passionate about it. Like you have to be passionate about any idea that you put forward. And it's hard when you work in corporate, to be honest. Like, I don't think, like, not everyone shares the same passion as you. So any idea that you see that gets shared on the Bonita Project comes with a lot of heart and passion and thought behind it. So I think that's why it's doing so well. And I didn't even open the Instagram. Like, I opened the Instagram page, the Bonita Project, like in March, so no one would steal the name. But I didn't post anything until July. And since then, boom, like it's been,
Poppin'.
I mean, it's growing.
See it.
It's growing. I'm not at 10K yet, but soon enough I will be. And I'm just looking at it like people are actually engaging in it. Like, people love it.
You know what it is? Speaking as a Latina woman, growing up, we didn't have like, I guess, someone to represent what we were as Latina women. And not only just Latina women, but women, American women who happen to be Latina. Because I was born here in America, but I'm a Latina. So I felt like growing up, I never really had that representation, just like in novelas. That's what I got it from. But now that we're getting older, I noticed that it's something that is very, like, when I see your page, like, honestly, like, when I tell you that, like, your page just makes me, like, be so fucking proud to be a Latina, that I'm just, like, Latina in my in my profile, like, y'all gonna know I'm Latina. And cause I just feel like now, we've come to, we're in a time, I guess, like, in entertainment and everything, that, like, we're being more respectful to different cultures.
Absolutely.
We want to welcome everybody. Like, you see these these brands that are making sure that they have Latinas, that because even Jordan Woods, she had somebody like on a wheelchair in her one of her marketing things. And I think that that's beautiful, because imagine someone on a wheelchair seeing somebody be a model and seeing themselves being represented. So that's one of the things that I love about the Bonita Project. And something that I feel that is important for the listeners to know is that, yes, the Bonita Project is for Latinas and for us to feel powerful, but you make it known that it's for all. And because I know for Black History Month, you had a logo that had the afro. Love that shit. Yeah. I want that shirt, first of all. Okay. Just saying. And then for this month, for June, you have the Pride logo this month. New logo, who this? I saw that girl.
Who this? And shout out to Pride.
Yeah, shout out to Pride Month. I mean, I just wanted to do things very differently. Like, I don't even like calling myself a PR agency, because PR agencies are actually evolving. Now, it's not about PR. You got to know social. You got to know a lot of things. And I wanted to create a community that, like, whenever I think of, and whenever I put together a marketing PR idea, like, I'm keeping them in mind. Like, I'm always I always get my bonitas involved. I always get them involved. I'm really like, listen, like, I do a lot of beauty polls every now and then on the IG stories. Like, I want to know what they're consuming.
You do.
Right?
That's
like,
important.
And the thing is, like, a lot of these bigger brands, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to host focus groups in different markets, right? And it's like 76% consume this and this. Long story short, it always statistically shows that Hispanic women or Latinas, whatever you want to call us, we consume the most. Bonitas. We consume a lot in beauty. We're very vain.
I've said that on this podcast. Are you
kidding? We consume, and also Black women too. Are you kidding? Right. When they get their hair done, those women are throwing money down to and for some reason that goes neglected,
unnoticed.
But you know what? Now, and especially in the beauty industry, we're entering a time where people are finally getting to notice. And guess who stirred up everything? Let's take a wild guess who that was.
You?
No, Rihanna. With Fenty Beauty.
I love Fenty Beauty.
She
changed the game for makeup.
She changed the game,
she
mind you.
All shades.
Everyone else has, but what did they do that Rihanna did? Rihanna was catering to the Black community since the moment she launched.
Yeah.
Period. Like she was catering to women of color since the minute she launched.
Yeah.
And then people, just because she did that, obviously her fans and everyone else just went out to support her. Like that's literally what happened.
What did you do my face with right now? Fenty. So, shout out to Mari for my makeup today.
So where does a brand, because a lot of brands kind of face that challenge where it's kind of like be organic and also let's reach this or let's pay attention to this target audience. How do where does that balance come from, or what would you say to a company that's like, hey, I'm trying to reach out to more to a Latina audience, what do I do?
Well, let's analyze who your internal team is first of all, because a lot of white, like, I don't even know how to say it correctly, but that are non-Latino or non-Black owners, that own, whether it's beauty brands, whether it's a fashion brand, whether it's whatever, they know, like, they need to understand that they need to diversify their team, like whoever's working under them, to come up with these ideas. Like, and that's where I come in, right? They hire me as a consultant. They're like, okay, we're launching this new product and we want to cater to the Latina community in the US. How should we market this product? What are the influencers that we should be working with, or who are the influencers? So that's where I come in, and I come with my expertise, and I always recommend it, new influencers, what markets they should be paying attention to. A lot of these bigger brands always do events, like let's say in New York and LA, which obviously for obvious reasons, you have a lot of media here. Yeah, you have a lot of the bigger influencers living in these bigger cities. But then I'm always like, you know what? You can't neglect Miami. Miami is popping right now. Yep. Like Miami, since I left, has grown exponentially. Wynwood was not even there when I left Miami.
Wynwood
was nothing.
Like any weekend is like insane.
It's like you have a very big Hispanic audience there. Yeah. Like if not, it's like literally the Mecca. I call it the Mecca of Latin America. Yeah. It is.
That's funny.
Miami is, and you have a very affluent consumer, meaning they
affluent means money.
Yeah, you have a very affluent consumer in Miami, whereas in New York, don't get me wrong, New York is very urban. Hands down, it's much more urban. Miami obviously has its urban roots and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, like I said. But New York, you have a very Dominican heavy audience here, very Puerto Rican heavy audience, and then you also have like the Colombians, the South American here and there. But it's always going to be dominated by your Dominicans. Yeah, they're everywhere here. And then you go to LA or the West Coast, you go to Texas. That's all Mexican.
Yeah, like we're from the West Coast, so we know. Yeah, we're from San Jose.
So and that's another thing that it's very complex when I talk about the Latina or the Hispanic community, because you have to make sure that your ideas resonate for each different market. Because a Dominican girl is not going to think the same as a Miami girl. Yeah, a Miami Venezuela, like they're not. They don't consume the same. It's very different. Whereas the Mexican girl and that LA girl. They're very different. Like, so that's where we come in, or I come in, and it's like, all right, if you want to cater to different markets, you need to be working with these different type of, like, you can't think one idea fits all for us. It really doesn't. It doesn't work that way.
Because we all have different hair types, different skin types. We have different skin tones. It's just crazy the array of women that the Latina, population produces. Mm-hmm. So I'm really happy that you talked about the Bonita Project. I really did want to talk about music because I know you love music.
Yes, I do.
You're wearing Beyonce on.
Yeah, you're wearing the Queen's brand.
I do.
And Ivy Park, Steph's here.
And I have to tell you, because you posted after Homecoming, the Beyonce.
Oh, I was like, damn, we're going back to Homecoming?
If y'all don't know what Homecoming is, y'all better go on Netflix and search Homecoming by the Queen Bee herself.
Guys.
Like the best. You posted something that I DM'd you right after you posted it, and I reposted it because I just I felt like what you said in that post was so important, because yes, Beyonce is a Black woman and she just shows us so much empowerment, and as women ourselves we see that and we take that, and you know, just like we didn't go to HBCUs, but we knew that culture because of
our high school.
Our high school, like, who wasn't talking about FAMU, about Bethune, about the schools in Atlanta, like Clark Atlantic and Morehouse, like all of these different schools. We learned so much about them. And then the pep rallies, like the music that they would play, like, it's just so in us. So when you posted that, like, I loved it and I appreciated that so much. Yeah. I had to tell you that.
You know, a lot of people didn't engage with it. I didn't care. Like,
because you spoke your truth.
Yeah,
who cares?
Truth,
like, you were just being yourself.
And I was like, yeah, someone understands what I'm feeling.
Because I literally felt every single word that you said. Because, and I remember you and I had a conversation within the DM of like, oh, like, I don't want to like make someone feel some type of way. Because sometimes we don't want to culture appropriate.
Right.
Yeah. We want to be mindful of that.
Right.
Because especially being a Latina in hip hop, that's something that I have to be mindful of because people are quick to say that.
Yeah, no,
and we talked about that as well.
And I guess for the listeners to know, like what I had shared on
Instagram.
No.
Find it.
Let me. So basically, this is what happened. And I think anyone can definitely relate to this after they saw the Homecoming documentary. You know, I feel like everybody that was a woman, like regardless of what color you are,
powerful.
It was very powerful. Like, it's very empowering to see her go through all of that. And what was very empowering was that she really, really focused on pushing her people, her community forward. And she was very determined. She's like, no, I want to show a bit of everything in this performance. Because it's not just about,
sorry. Go ahead.
No. It's not just about.
Because I'm just like super excited.
Fraternities or
and it was she. You know, she wanted to go to an HBCU. That was her dream, and she never got to because she had Destiny's Child. And she says that she was like, I always wanted to go to HBCU. She would
practice that like an HBCU,
and she, you know, she was very determined to get these kids from all across. From across the country, a lot of them from the South, to push forward and show their unique style. You had the steppers, you had the dancers, you had the band, and that would give me, every time I would see the performance, I legit, kid you not, I would get goosebumps. And anyways, long story short, like after I finished watching this, which by the way, I cried. Like, I have no shame to say I cried watching this documentary. And so the high school that Claudia and I went to, so shout out to Coral Reef.
You
know, it's in
Steph too. Steph's in the building. Shout out to Steph, Vanessa, and Jahira in the building. We got a full house today.
And Coral Reef really changed me, man, because I am very grateful that I've lived in different communities throughout my entire childhood. I came from, when I grew up in New Jersey, I grew up in Paterson, which is, for those that don't know, it always had a bad rep. Paterson was very Black and Latino. Very bad, though. It was like there was always a lot of crime there. Then I moved to Florida, and then when I moved to Florida, I went to an all-white neighborhood before moving to Miami. So I went from living in an urban neighborhood to then going to an all-white school, basically, and I was like, again, the token Latina. Then I left that area, that city, which was Coral Springs, by the way. I left Coral Springs to then move to Miami, and then Miami was super Latino. But then when I go to Coral Reef, I got a fresh breath of air. Like, I just had a mix of everybody because it was a magnet school. That was the beauty of it being, the fact that it was a magnet school, it was open to kids from all over the Miami-Dade County. So you had, while it was also located in Richmond Heights, which was
predominantly area.
Real quick, because I've shared this on the podcast. That was one of the first neighborhoods that Black people were able to like purchase and own in that neighborhood.
Look at that, I didn't know.
It's a history of Miami, and then one of our guests
on the podcast.
Yeah, one of our guests was talking about
one of our guests let us know about that. Shout out to Killer K.
Look at that, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and I'll never forget when I walk into the high school or Coral Reef and I see it's like, a mix of crowds. It was so beautiful to see that, and then I'll never forget my first pep rally at Coral Reef. I will never forget that.
Were lit.
We're super lit. So our pep rallies, not only did you have the band come out, and it was amazing because we had a sick ass band.
It was a magnet school that you had to audition to be in the band.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just like you come to the school and you can be part of the band. No, you had to audition.
You get one of the electives.
Yeah, like it's not an
electives.
elective. Like you have to audition to be in the band.
Same with the dancers.
Same with the dancers.
So
you were in
the
Cuda Flavor, hey.
So there, and then Cuda Flavor happened. So I'll always remember my first prep rally. Like, you know, everybody, the dancers came out cute, the cheerleaders cute, and then Cuda Flavor came out, and I was like, what is happening? Well, who are so Cuda Flavor at the time was an all black, I mean, the majority, predominantly all black girls that danced there.
Okay.
It was a hip hop dance team. And when they came out, I'll always remember the intro. They had red jumpsuits, and they started dancing to Shake Your Tailfeather, going back to that song.
We'll never forget that. I will never forget
From
that.
the mixtape.
Yeah.
Okay. Shake Your Tailfeather.
So they started dancing, and I was like, oh my God, I want to dance there too. Like, I was like, I want to dance there. And then, you know, when auditions came, remember, so MTV Made
came to our school.
MTV Made.
Right. I remember that because you were in it.
Yeah,
You were in it. You
because
had a
I
little
auditioned for Cuda
cameo.
Flavor.
MTV Made came to our school. They did auditions, and of
Some
course,
people weren't outside for that.
the episode. So I remember that. So of course, MTV Made came to do interviews. They ended up choosing this girl, Pobrecita. She was cute enough, but she was, you know, she was white.
She did not represent a Coral Reef student.
Okay, she was white. She
was
in
the 2%.
chorus.
Yeah.
She was in chorus, and she wanted to be made into Cuda Flavor. So MTV saw this, ding, 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 ding. This is gonna get all
white girl
the
who wants to
views.
shake ass.
Yeah. So they got her a coach who was like a former Miami Heat dancer, and
She was
this
good.
girl, you know, she was great. And like, you know, and when tryouts came, of course, there was like, I remember I was like number 80 something to try out. So that goes to show that over 100 girls did the tryout.
I tried out that
year.
time that you did, and there were. I remember there being so many people trying.
So many girls.
What did we already know about the Made or no?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Because I remember MTV even came up to me and interviewed me, but of course I didn't come out, so whatever. But I remember
They're lost.
I remember
you could have had
auditioning.
your shine from the
See?
beginning.
See? Bonita, it would have been.
And that audition, man, I remember that was so intimidating because I walk in, you have the three. I think it was like three girls like sitting there. It was like super. It looked
Miss
like a high
Borges
school
was
movie.
there. She was my English. She was my reading teacher.
So Miss Borges was there. It was this girl named Asha who was the captain, and then Tasha or Natasha.
I remember them.
Dude, these girls had the most intimidating, like, don't fuck with me looks. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to. Okay, so it was me and like two other girls there. And I was like, all right, it's time my turn to dance. So I did the best that I could.
It was to scrub the ground.
Yes, it was to scrub the ground. Yes, one of the dances was to scrub the ground. Remember then there was a freestyle that we did.
Okay, I don't remember I remember scrub the ground.
We did, yes, definitely scrub the ground. And then
Probably why did I make the
Yeah,
team?
you probably didn't get that for Claudia. You didn't get that freestyle solo. Yeah. That's like
Remember
after
that. And then the next day, they were gonna put up the list. Like, it was like so. Like,
and then
typical,
MTV was there.
yeah, like
and MTV was there, so
high
it
school
was like
experience.
super dramatic.
Oh hell yeah!
yeah, they
Probably,
were gonna put the list
imagine.
up at the door at 9 a.m. so you will see who made it into the team or not. Do you know that morning I went straight to my first period? I was like, I can make that shit. I
But
obviously
you did.
So I went to my geometry class, whatever. I went to class, and then like halfway through the class, these girls walk into the class and they're like, "Hey, is Danielle Alvarez in your class?" And then they point at me and they're like, "Oh, Cuda just got some more flavor." And they had a big sign for me to wear around my neck. And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "You can see the list." And I'm like, "No, I can go see the list." And they were like, "Oh yeah, your name is on the list." It's like, "Well, congrats, whatever." So after that, my life changed because I started dancing with these girls, these powerful, to me, they were like Barbies. They were my Beyonce. Okay, these are
what I
all
was
black
saying. Yeah,
girls.
because like I remember you saying that within that post that you felt that like being in Cuda Flavor. I remember that.
They were the majority. I was literally the minority. I was like, okay, I am the one out of maybe 3 light-skinned girls on the team. I'll never forget that. And, you know, going to practice every day after school with them. Like, you know, it's not like I became besties with most of these girls. Like everybody had their cliques in high school. You know, I had my group of friends. Everybody had their group of friends. So when it came down to practice, it was a very unique, it was a beautiful experience because then I was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, I was very quiet and shy around them because these girls, like, you know, I already told you earlier, like they came off a little
I remember
here
these
and
girls.
there. They were intense.
Yeah, I remember these girls.
And I was like, I also, again, it was like a dream come true for me. I was like, I feel so blessed to be a part of this team. Like, I can't crack my body the way these girls can, but I'm going to try my best because, you know, I'm going to try my best. And, you know, I was with them for 2 years. And it was the most beautiful experience of high school. And I learned, and mind you, this is before anything that we're seeing now about like, oh, you know, being appreciative of other cultures. Like, I was so appreciative of that culture already.
That you felt like you were a part of it.
I felt like I was a part of it. And like, that always stuck with me throughout my entire life now. And even my mom, you know, like my mom would come pick me up from school, and at first she was like, "Oh my God, Daniela, todas son morenitas." You know, like that's a very yeah. She's like, and I'm like, yeah, and she was like, okay. But my mom, you know, thankfully, my mom is not
a queen.
She's not, you know, she was never.
She was very supportive of you too. Like, I mean, throughout everything.
Throughout
right?
everything, yeah. And
okay,
she
with your research.
And she was never against, you know, me dancing. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm not saying other parents would have been like, oh my God, no. But, you know.
No, that was a point I was going to mention because, you know, going out to American Airlines and doing that type of stuff, you know, like it could have been like, this was just a complete waste of time. But she was more like, let me find out more information with you, you know, than getting you to, hey, that's PR work and develop. So I think, that's shout out to moms.
Shout out to moms. And, you know, my mom's a single mom, and me and my mom are, you know, we stick like gum. Like we're
you guys are always
inseparable.
together.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, there's just so much dope shit that you do, Danny, that like
we can't fit it in one episode.
Yeah, like
I know.
Okay, so I need the listeners to know she did this. It was Mother's Day in May. We're in June. Yeah, so she had like, I guess the women from the Bonita Project, like she had their moms and like they like took pictures together in the park, and then they had all the moms say something. Bro, listen, when I tell you that what you do like inspires me, like
that's good.
It really, really inspires me.
And that's the purpose of this. It's more than just a PR brand. Like, I want to connect with the community. I want these girls to know that I'm going to be, you know, I want to vouch for them and represent them when I'm speaking to brands. Because at the end of the day, I do have clients. Let's talk about my clients real quick. I don't know if the time is up.
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So we do, I currently work with like five brands.
First of all, don't act like they're not big brands, because I see the events that you're putting together and they're like L'Oreal and like
talk about it, queen. Talk your shit. Talk about it.
Well, let's
go.
I do represent 5 brands. So the first one that I'll talk about really quickly is Alamar Cosmetics. It's a Latina-owned makeup line based out of Miami.
Yeah, I met her. She's awesome.
She's amazing. Right, because she was at the event that I was at.
Go ahead, continue.
So Alamar Cosmetics,
get on the
this
podcast.
Girl, she's a makeup artist turned into now an entrepreneur. She started makeup when she was 18, and at 25, she launched her own makeup line. This girl was born in Cuba. In a town called Alamar, and she was raised in Miami, and she was also inspired to just start her own line, and she's doing great.
Amazing.
She's doing amazing. For just a year to be out, she's already reached like 100,000 followers on Instagram. Period.
Poppin', yeah.
She has a very loyal community of fans, and you know the products that she launches, they're all with something in mind, very Caribbean inspired. Just given the
names of the for the listeners, the names
eyeshadows.
of the eyeshadows that she has is like different things that kind of like represent the Cuban community. Sorry, that's the Duce talking. But yeah, it represents the Cuban community. So when you see it's like different names that are just like very like Cuban. I love it.
Yes. Very, guys, check them out. Alamar Cosmetics. Like, she's just starting out. It's a cruelty-free brand. It's not expensive whatsoever. Go support a woman of color with her makeup line. Like, she's amazing. And yeah, so she's one that I started working with earlier this year. Number 2 is Botanica Beauty. And Botanica Beauty is also launched by she's actually a dear friend of mine who I met in the industry as an influencer. She's an influencer. She's been blogging for 10 years. A curvy girl, Afro-Latina, Dominican girl from Uptown.
Is she single?
Is she single?
She actually is.
Shooters gotta shoot, baby.
She is. She's super cute. And so she's been blogging for quite some time now. And 2 years ago, she ended up meeting the founder of Honey Baby Naturals, which is another hair care line meant for curly hair or just textured hair. And, you know, this woman was like, you know what? If you want to also launch your line, like, let me help you. I have the contacts. I know everything. What is to do to create a line. So Ada was linked up with this girl 2 years ago, and now she launched Botanica Beauty, and Botanica Beauty is a hair care line that literally just launched in April, and it's basically a hair care styling line. So it's mostly catered to women that have curly hair just like us, like just like her. And you know, there's other curly hair products out there, but nothing, you know, there's always that missing, like, you know, touch
Yeah.
that doesn't resonate with us. And she, you know, the name itself, Botanica, it was inspired by the botanicas that are seen like in Uptown.
Yeah, I was gonna, because I've seen some in Miami as well.
Okay, yeah, and it's all natural. It's with like these ingredients that you would normally find in a botanica, but you know, she bottled it up and now has like about 6 products in the lineup, and it's all about curly hair. So we have Botanica, and then after that,
Before you say that, your hair is popping. Because I know you've been like myself, like I haven't put any heat to my hair since December. My hair is naturally wavy, and I just want it to thrive. So that's something that sometimes I feel like as Latinas we'd always want that super straight hair sometimes. And so now I love that we're stepping more into just having our natural hair, like meaning like the waves, the curls, because sometimes we want that chinita straight hair.
I blame Miami for wanting the straight hair.
First of all, it's hot as fuck in Miami to be having straight hair,
right? But I don't know. I blame. I shouldn't say this, but like I blame our own people for us thinking that straight hair is beautiful.
Porque es como cosa de gringa.
Yeah. And like when you see a novela back in the day, you see all of them have straight hair. And I used to watch those novelas too, and I was like, I want straight hair. When the hell would you see curly hair on screen? Ever.
Wow.
Never. So I blame our own people for that. And you know what's crazy is that this girl that I'm working with, Ada, the one that launched her hair care line, I was just recently taught that in the Dominican community, pelo malo, which translates to bad hair, is like a thing for them. And a lot of these, like their old, like the OGs, like her parents and her grandparents, they use that term, they use that phrase a lot when you're born with nappy hair. And that's why these girls, especially in the Dominican culture, are perming their hair since they're doing grolos since the age of like 3. And now we're just now entering a phase where like, okay, or not a phase, sorry, like we're now entering a time where people or women are embracing their natural curls. And you know, you would never see me with this hair a year ago or even before that. I was always straightening my hair. Yeah. And I actually hated Miami for my hair because the humidity just didn't help any blowout. You know that, right? Sure. So I hated my curly hair, but now, I'm embracing it, and that's after a year.
So because you said 2, so you have 3 more.
So
right?
I
got you,
2.
girl.
Yeah, let's get the vendors out. Yeah,
let's get these vendors out real quick because they might sponsor the Ambition
Number
Hour
3.
podcast.
Yes. I consult for the biggest client that I have is Clinique. So Clinique is the biggest one, and they're an Estee Lauder brand. Yes. So
continue.
Clinique and ¿Quién más? And then I represent this woman. She's a hairstylist who is very well known here, and she cuts curly hair. So
nice.
So she's actually been part of this whole movement, especially here in New York City, where a lot of these Dominican girls are coming together and now embracing their natural curls. Like Ona, her name's Ona. Check her out, the Hair Saint on Instagram, and she's actually built also a loyal fan base and loyal like client base that come to her salon when they want a good curl cut. They come to Ona. So Ona has been a client of mine. Actually, Ona cuts the hair of Ada, who's the girl that launched Botanica Beauty. So it all kind of
okay,
yeah.
Kind of like together.
Yeah. So Ona is one of my clients, and then I'm trying to Stitch Lab. Stitch Lab. So Stitch Lab is, and the last one, that's actually a fashion client, I guess I would say.
It sounds familiar.
I mean, I know I saw it on your Instagram, so that's definitely.
So Stitch Lab is actually an incubator. That's what they say. It's an incubator that's based out of Miami that supports emerging designers from Latin America.
Perfect.
So basically, they open the doors for Latin American designers to come to the U.S., sell, and connect with media, with influencers. So we produce events like twice a year where we bring in like over 30 designers from Latin America, and then they can sell. They have the opportunity to sell their stuff. So that's what Stitch Lab is. So it's based out of Miami.
I mean, you've gone to Miami because of Stitch Lab.
Right.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys had like a super cute little like photo booth. Was that the one? Or because I know you guys had like a cute, like it was like that you can sit and it was like a lounge. Girl, you've been doing so much events, I can't even keep up.
God.
It might have been that one. It might have been a different one.
It could have been. It was just recently. Their last Stitch Lab event was in April.
Yeah. Something that do you have any questions, Tom?
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
Because he said it. He's just like, I have a couple questions for her.
I want to go to this one first, just because I don't know if we'll get to the other ones. Advice for any entrepreneurs. What would you say?
That's a good.
Sorry, repeat the question.
For any advice for any entrepreneurs.
Any advice for entrepreneurs
starting up? Maybe they've been in a while. What would you give them?
So one of the key advices that I would say is don't be so focused on like the money. I know that we don't have the luxury of spending all the money in the world. However, it's not about making the money the first or even the second year or even the fifth year. I think you're going to start seeing income and revenue like after a good 10 years, depending on what business you're in too. I'm speaking for myself. Like, it's not like I'm racking up six figures yet. Like I'm literally, and any money that I'm taking in,
girl.
We're 6 figures.
like I'm making enough to survive, to pay for my freaking crazy rent in New York City, and and I also invest a lot of it in help. Like, guys, sometimes we want to do it all ourselves, but you know what? I had to be like, you know what? I got to pay for a social girl. Like, I really do. I can't be too stingy tampoco. Like, don't be super stingy. Like, I get it. Save your money.
That's good advice.
Blah, blah, but at the same time, like, sometimes. You got to humble yourself sometimes and be, like, realistic. Like, don't be scared to ask for help or get an intern. Like, I am so blessed to have an amazing girl that helps me with all things social. It's not just me. Like, yes, I tell her, like, look, this is what I'm thinking. Now go and do it. But I need the help, and I pay for her. Like, I pay her. I pay her for her services.
You shouted her out. Because that's how I knew that you had some. Because I was just like, how does she fucking do it? She's in fucking Morocco. How does she do it?
I mean, sometimes, her and I, she's been with me since the very beginning. And actually, she wasn't getting paid for the first 6 months because she was like, I just want to learn. She was like, I want to learn from you. Yeah. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I need help. I need an intern. So I took her under my wing. She saw me go. She literally started working with me when I was all over the place. And that's another thing too. It's like managing your time as an entrepreneur. Like, learn how to manage your time. That's a second advice that I'm still trying to take, because I'm sometimes all over the place. Like, sometimes you would think like, okay, you make your own schedule, yada, 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 but you need to learn how to prioritize.
Definitely.
Like, prioritizing shit is very important. And I'm honestly not the best sometimes because I want to do it all. And I became in during a time. Exactly. Even my taxes. I literally left my taxes for the last minute.
I saw it on Instagram.
I was
like, I wish I could help her, but I don't know how to do anything taxes.
Anything taxes. It's terrible. But you know what? Just think of it this way. Don't be scared. You guys already did the first step of like going solo. Yeah. That's step one. You shouldn't be scared of anything else. And you know what someone said to me the other day, the more uncomfortable you are, the more you grow, the more you learn. Like, you need to learn how to be uncomfortable. Like, just be uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. If it's something that's out of your comfort zone, that's okay.
That's probably what you should be doing.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might need a whole episode for this one, but I want to ask, especially for all the gentlemen in here, how can men better understand women?
How can men better understand
women? Good question.
Oh my God. My boyfriend's gonna laugh. He thinks I'm crazy.
Uh-oh.
But he's like...
Your boyfriend is awesome because he, like, I see it, like, he supports you.
He's very patient, but him and I get all over the place because... He literally tells me, he's like, you live such a stressful life. Like, I can't with you. Sometimes he's like, your life stresses me out. And I'm like, okay, well, that's my life. Deal with it. Because I live a stressful life. I think, to better understand women, I would say just, I think it's all about communicating and listening to them.
Okay.
And I mean, that I know you hear that a lot, but I think communication is key. And sometimes, like, and I think this goes both ways. It's not about, it's not about us too. It's also about men. I also have to understand, like, we both are human and we have feelings, and sometimes we don't communicate our feelings, and sometimes we're scared to even communicate something that we're feeling. And you know what? You shouldn't be scared to communicate what you're feeling, because maybe, you end up holding something in and then ignoring it, and then later it backfires. I feel like it's just all about communicating.
We've all been there before.
At the end of the day, like sometimes, like I've had to had sit downs with Eduardo, and like sometimes I just speak my mind, and maybe he doesn't take it, and maybe he doesn't take it the right way. But I'm like, at least I spoke my mind. Like I had to say it. Like don't be scared to say something, especially for women now. I think we're living in a time where we finally have a voice and we can finally speak up about things. And Eduardo, sometimes when him and I started dating, like he was very intimidated by me, believe it or not, and
that's something that I feel that I struggle with, but continue.
I mean, yeah, it's sometimes when dating girls like us, like we're very, and he was intimidated by me. And I think even when I was single too, when I would date guys, like I don't know if I was intimidating them or not. Like, believe it or not, being single in New York City is a pain in the ass as it is, like to find somebody.
Miami too.
In Miami too, and you have a lot of guys. I think here for the very least is like all the guys. Everyone here is like has the hustle mentality, right? Everyone has a great job, and like one of the first questions that is asked,
where do you work?
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
And it's like a competition.
What she got going on?
And like honestly, like I never saw myself dating a Wall Street guy. I was like, hell no. Like I can't with that ego. No. No, I'm just saying, like I could never see myself dating a guy like that. I just can't. Like I needed someone that could be more like a.
Your boyfriend is awesome because he's gone to Cuba with you. Well, is he Dominican?
He's Dominican, of course.
She got her stuff at Tigre.
Just a couple of things. Roll, don't hate me. I just want to say thank you to you. Also, thank you to Chris for you guys holding me down on the visual and audio as well. Thank you guys so much. I just want one quick and try to make it quick because we do got to wrap up.
Okay.
But
I have one.
Okay. But this is a quick one. Misses that you what you miss and what you don't miss from Miami.
What I miss and what I don't miss. What I miss are my friends. I miss all my friends, my childhood friends. I miss that a lot. And I do miss being around, like, a lot of Latinos. Like, I miss that culture, that vibe.
I had that, but that's a question I wanted to ask, but we can't get to it. But I wanted to know how you felt, because it was a couple of times that you brought it up about being the only Latina. Kudo Flavor, and then in the PR.
I miss the Latin vibe there. I do. Because it's, I mean, yes, there's Latin vibes here, but it's very different, like I said before. And then what I don't miss, and this is kind of going to contradict itself, is I do think that a lot of, when it comes to especially the Hispanic community in Miami, a lot of people don't think progressively. Ooh. It's true. I know there's a lot of Trump supporters down in Florida, and I'm just like, I look away and I'm like, I really can't. Like, I just think that, you have a lot of people that are coming in from different countries in South America, and they think their own way, and there's a lot of machismo in Miami, I will say, and
there's machismo in a lot of Latino community, but continue.
And there's a lot of machismo in I just see it, and I feel like women there are more, and what I don't miss is that women in Miami are more focused about like looking pretty and getting plastic surgery, and which there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that we
can't get canceled, so don't worry.
They can't cancel us.
I feel like priorities there are just very different than in New York. Yeah. In New York, people are more about like, I'm money hungry. I want to get shit done. I don't care about looking pretty and here and there. Yeah, like listen, don't get me wrong. If you want to get work done, do it. But I feel like over there, people, I don't know. At least that's the sense that I get. Like women are more focused on like getting getting a rich guy and marrying rich and living off like, when I used to go to Miami, it's like, all right, who's buying me a drink tonight? And I'm like, no, I could buy my own drink. I don't need a guy to buy.
I have no patience for that.
You said you had one more question and then we'll wrap it up.
What's your favorite Trick Daddy song?
Oh shit.
My God.
Damn, that's a great question.
Can't fuck with the South.
Yeah.
Can't fuck with the South. That's fucking right.
Because I know she likes Trick Daddy. Because I think it was his birthday or something.
Daddy Dollars.
She
posted him.
If you're not from Dade County and you don't know who Trick Daddy is, make sure that you do that.
Are you kidding me? One time I went to a club here and I was like, can you guys play Trick Daddy? I will say this though, the clubs here kind of suck and they don't play playlist like they do in the.
Not looking good for tonight.
It depends where you go. The thing is, you
fucking
have to in New York. You have to go to like the hood to get good music. But if you go to these little white people bars, you don't get good music. Period.
So
you don't. They don't play like at least in Miami. They play good music wherever you
Or
go.
they mix it,
wherever.
You know? Kind
They
of
mix
balance.
it.
So
Here,
last
there.
question. Okay, so I had that Trick Daddy question because I don't know, because you posted it one time and I was like, I have to ask her. So last question.
Raul's giving me the face, man. I'm
Yeah,
feeling
we
the
have to
heat.
go before we okay. So recommend one spot that we have to go to here in New York.
Oh my.
Oh yes,
God.
please. Now, where do we
Okay,
go?
Miss Favela. It's in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. If
Cool.
you guys want to have a fun brunch, I know you have brunch plans
Brunch
already.
Sunday.
You couldn't come with us? You're gonna vibe
She's going to the Puerto Rican parade.
Puerto Rican Day Parade.
She said we can go after though.
Business is
We
important.
squatted. We're 8
Business-
people.
Knowing
Can
your
you get us all
audience.
in?
Knowing your
Miss
audience.
Favela, Miss Favela. It's a very fun Brazilian restaurant. They have a live band at a certain point after 3, and like the caipirinhas start coming, and that's
Sweet.
it. It's like you get drunk and you're listening to Brazilian music, and it's actually a really good time.
Nice.
Awesome, Danny. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
so
thank you.
much.
I'm
Like you
so-
don't
Thank you so-
clap it up.
Give it up.
I'm so excited, you guys. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you, Claudia, too.
Thank you.
And you're gonna kill it. And I could see Angie Martinez in you. You're the
Oh
next
my
Angie
God.
Martinez.
Hype
Can
me
you
up,
imagine?
Danny.
You know, I met Angie once, and I told her, Angie, I want to work in music a long time ago, and she was like, okay, and I was like, all right, bye.
Listen, you got the new Angie right here, though.
But Angie, man, she's goals. She's goals.
She is. When I wasn't and I'll close the episode with this. When I was a senior in high school, I had to do like a Shakespeare's thing, and I had to like pretend to be somebody, and I pretended to be Angie Martinez.
She got a jacket and all.
and I had
she
a
got
jacket
the
and all. I
Timbs.
borrowed it from Stephanie. I still have the jacket. I never gave it back to her.
Facts.
I have.
Steph
it
is like,
though.
I didn't even know what you're talking
Surprised
about.
if
I
Angie's
got
at the
you.
parade on Sunday.
And so it's crazy to be here today, to be doing this in New York. Shout out to Raul for being patient with us.
How did we
'cause
get here, Claudia?
We were mad squatted. I don't understand.
How did we
know.
get here? How did 2
I'm-
episodes
I'm
happen?
so blessed.
How did 5 songs happen
I'm
today?
so blessed. I have no sleep. I was dizzy earlier. That went out the window as soon as we started recording. That's the on and off switch that I talk about all the time here on the Ambition Hour podcast. Make sure that you guys go and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That way more and more people can become aware of the Ambition Hour podcast. If you are listening to us on YouTube or watching us on YouTube, make sure that you guys go ahead and join the notification gang. Make sure that you go ahead and put that little bell on the side. That way you get notified each and every single time that we drop a new podcast, a new video, and a new song. As always, you can always go to the one-stop shop, which is WTWRecords.com. I want to give a big shout out to my co-host Have 600.
We in here.
My little
you
brother
already
for
know.
being here with me. Shout out to everybody who's in the studio. CAB, we have Stephanie, we have Vanessa, we have Jahira, we have Christian, Mighty Sunshine, and Raul, who's behind, who's being my engineer. He's my parks tonight, and I'm so grateful for that. Well, today. And Danny,
Yes.
thank you.
No,
so
thank
much.
you.
You
And
don't
Gotham
understand.
Studio.
You don't
I would
understand.
love
Gotham
to-
Studio, Gotham Podcast Studio,
And the Bonita.
and the Bonita Project. I wish you
The
nothing but success for everything that is about. She's doing an Instagram story.
I'm gonna do a
Gang,
video
gang.
really quick.
We out here.
We out here.
So, I'm
Dade
so
County
excited.
is out in New York City. Yes.
So make sure that you guys go ahead and check all the rest of the episodes that we have here. This is your girl Audi 3000 with my co-host Have 600 and our special guest Danielle Alvarez from the Bonita Project and everybody else in the studio. Thank you so much. This is your girl Audi 3000 and for episode 73, we out.
Yeah. Woo!